Welcome everyone to this week's episode of MOAR Tech. I'm your host, Michael Amorgan. This week we're going to be talking about a number of different topics, but our main topic tonight, and if you're listening to this on the podcast or video on demand, VOD version of this that's on YouTube, or like I said, the podcast version that's on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, pretty much anywhere that you might be listening to a podcast, then yeah, this is just whenever. But tonight, our main topic is going to be, well, Google forcing two-factor authentication for a good chunk of its users, whether you like it or not. But some stuff is already going to be happening for those that have certain settings already enabled. And so we're going to be talking about that a little bit later on. So just to kind of catch everyone up to date on what's happening in the tech industry. For starters, well, for those of you that are unaware, Sony has actually reached out to Discord. Discord is a chat platform that allows for text, audio, video, all that kind of good stuff in a kind of community bite-sized way for people to actually communicate. It offers a lot more features than WhatsApp, for example, but not everyone prefers it. Some people just prefer things simple, like WhatsApp. Speaking of WhatsApp, though, WhatsApp is soon going to be getting something that allows for reviewing those voice messages or voice notes before you actually send them. So you would do your recording, then it's going to be like, do you want to review it? Yes. Then it plays it back so you can hear what you've said. If you like it, then you can send it. If you don't, delete it and start it over again. Another thing that they're going to be bringing out is actually increasing the speed of when you're listening back to these voice notes. So you can maybe play it at 1.25% speed, 1.65% speed, 2%, well, 2 times the speed, you know, just whatever it is to make it go a little bit faster. Wait, did I say percent speed? Times. So 1.25 times the speed. That's what I meant. Apologies, folks. For those of you that may have been checking out Twitter, if you are a creator, this one's going to be awesome for you, mainly for one real reason. It's because they are rolling out the tip jar feature. So this allows you to pay Twitter members directly. There were some definite rumors about that being the situation, but they've actually officially announced this as of today on their Twitter handle. They don't really have anything else. So let me just get this up on the screen really quickly. You can actually see what this kind of looks like. And yeah. So here we go. They have this nice little button right there that says send via Cash App, Patreon, so on and so forth. And so that's pretty much their way of going about it. It's a little interesting, I will admit, because there is a PayPal and Venmo option as well, and Bootcamp for those that are actually on that. Now I know people are gonna wonder, like, so what about the platform that I use, which might not be any of those platforms? Well, there's really nothing more that they're saying about it. They just say more coming soon. So yeah, but they also have, as of more recently, taken away the crop option. So people are going for those long images that they used to not post anymore. And it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. I'll put it that way. I'm not going to get into the politics of what happened with Donald Trump and Facebook and the snowball effect that that's going to have in the, well, online posting community. Like, I'm sorry, just no. That's a whole can of worms I'm not willing to really talk about. YouTube is now testing something called listening controls that will bring a dedicated music player UI to the main app. So this is for your Android device. So they say pretty much like when you're listening to songs in the YouTube client, Google will occasionally prompt you to open up the music app for a better experience, so that you can use the listening controls. They are labeled as a premium feature on top of the sheet underneath the regular video window, which plays like normal and still shows the regular like scrubber that you can like move ahead or back, whatever it is. And it also works when you're casting to a speaker. They say that the YouTube premium subscriber that has this feature today was only encountered it on iOS, and so it's still slowly fading its way in. And they couldn't get it to listening controls to appear on the Android, so it's probably in an A/B type of testing kind of thing. So it works for some, it doesn't work for others. We'll see it eventually start to roll out. Now, for those of you that are interested in net neutrality, there was, not so long ago, but still not this year, a vote in the United States about net neutrality, and the FCC and people taking in their feedback and giving their feedback to the FCC so that they can actually make a vote on it. Well, the vote was kind of stupid at the end of the day, but apparently there's some funny business going on with that, because some of the biggest ISPs in the United States actually paid for 8.5 million comments to be posted on the FCC's website opposing net neutrality. For those of you who are unaware of what net neutrality is, it's pretty much making sure that ISPs, the same people that decided to pay for these fake comments, going against it, well, net neutrality would have pretty much stopped them from doing things like, oh, you have to pay more for getting more access to different websites, or let's say if you only are paying for 10 megabits per second versus if you're getting 60, then you just be able to get more features from that. It's not about speed because you're paying for your speed, but everything that goes in between it. So you may get Spotify turned off, or they may say, hey, everyone that has this, if you also have one of our other plans, you get Spotify for free on your mobile device. Things like that. It's a little kind of funky. And people didn't like that, and so that's why they were trying to vote against it. See how that worked out. If any of you tuned in last week to when I talked about the whole thing that Apple's doing in terms of tracking and apps, and pretty much them giving a notification to say, hey, well, this app is tracking you, do you want this to still happen, kind of thing. Google is also putting in a safety section in Google Play. So what they're doing is, when you go to the app to then download it, so before you even get to it, so you're still in the Google Play Store, you're still in the listing, it's going to whoa, my voice just cracked. It's pretty much going to tell you, quote unquote, that, and it's going to be rolling this out next year, it will require app developers to share what sort of data that they collect, how it's stored, and how it's used. A lot of app developers probably aren't going to like that one, especially those like Facebook and whatnot that try to interlink their information, to which point Facebook even went so far as to, as of not so recently, as of more recently, I should say, they're starting to do a little bit of scare tactics in a way, where they're pretty much saying, keep this app free by letting us run ads. And if you let us have your personal information, then you're going to get more targeted ads that are more beneficial towards you. Now, I understand why some people see this as more of a scare tactic type thing, because they're essentially saying you have ads or you pay for the app, which is, I get the feeling that people aren't quite understanding what they're going for. It's more or less, you have ads because this is free, and you're going to get ads regardless. That's the method of madness to this. So you can either let us get your personal information and get your personalized ads, or not, and you get some generic ads that might not be relevant to you. You're going to get them either way. So I get where the fear-mongering was. I do think it's a bit misguided, because Facebook and Instagram, they're not the first to come out with wording like that. And from the past experiences that I've seen with companies doing wording like that, it's not there to try and scare you to say, hey, we're going paid for. Like Facebook and Instagram, it would quite literally be a form of platform suicide for them to move to that model. That's one of the reasons why WhatsApp, which originally was a paid app, especially if you were on iOS back in the day, to get lifetime access, they cut that. And that's why there's been talks about WhatsApp becoming a paid, like you get ads on it or you pay for it. But that hasn't happened. Facebook then bought WhatsApp, and so now we're probably just going to get ads at some point. Now, for those of you that have a PlayStation 5 and that live in the country, one of the countries that actually support this, if you're interested, YouTube TV is going to be coming on. So you're going to be able to use something like that on there. You're going to have to log in with your Google account, so on and so forth. Meanwhile, Netflix is developing something called N+, which is kind of weird. They say that N+ is a future online space where you can learn more about the Netflix shows you love and anything related to them. Now, this was a survey that people are kind of pulling this information from. And that a Netflix spokesperson said the survey was a part of a regular efforts to poll its audience on things the company was exploring, but it doesn't have anything further to show at the moment. So this would include things like behind the scenes interviews, podcasts, supporting content, so on and so forth. So this could be even things like maybe custom TV show playlists, in memorandum pages, things like that. And I kind of touched on it just a little bit earlier. Google with its two-factor authentication. This one is kind of a biggie, folks. Just kind of. So earlier today, Google came out with, because it is, it's actually Password Day, World Password Day. So you may have noticed companies like Google and Microsoft actually talking about passwords a little bit. And so we have posts, and for whatever reason, Google, this is not the full on, okay, whatever. It's doing a weird filter type thing going on here. Filters? I don't have any filters. That's weird. Anyway, so pretty much their whole thing is about passwords, and what they're saying their next steps are before we get to the point where both Google and Microsoft want us to, which is a world without passwords, period. We're going to be in a situation where, well, they pretty much put it out point blank. Quote, today we ask people who have enrolled in two-step verification to confirm it's really them with a simple tap via Google prompt on their phone whenever they sign in. Now, I get this. I sign into a new browser. I sign into a new phone. I get something on my old phone or my current phone, whatever it is. Pretty much one of the phones that is linked to my Google account with a number or a button that says, is this you, kind of thing going on. And I press the button, or it gives me the number on my phone, and I press the number that's on my screen, my computer, to say like this is the correct number, so on and so forth. And I'm going to show what that looks like really quick. So let's go for a window. And there we go. That's perfect. Opened right in on it. So here we have that. And I am going to take this and pop that right there. So here we have, who have enrolled in two-step verification. Now, as you notice, this is myaccount.google.com/security-checkup. You can go there for yourself. It gives you a bunch of information about your account. But for me personally, well, I have my two-step verification turned on. It tells me all the different devices that I have on it, so on and so forth, numbers, so on, that kind of information. along with my Google settings, any compromised passwords, device issues, third-party issues, so on and so forth. Awesome. Along with recent security activity. But yes, because I have this enabled, they say that, you know, currently this is what they do. What they then say, which is the interesting part, is that soon we'll start automatically enrolling users into two-step verification, otherwise known as two-step authentication or two-factor authentication. If their accounts are appropriately configured, you can check the status of your account in our security checkup. Using their device to sign in gives people a safer and more secure authentication experience than passwords alone, which they're showing in this this experience right down here. They put in their email account, they put in their password, it then tells them, you know, you got to check your phone, says the location where the phone's checking in, you press it and automatically signs you in, that kind of thing. And then they say that they're also building advanced security technology into devices to make this multi-factor authentication seamless and even more secure than a password. Remember, I said that they're trying to get rid of the password. For example, we've built our security keys directly into Android devices and launched our Google Smart Lock app for iOS. So now people can use their phones as a secondary form of authentication. So it doesn't matter if you're using an Android or an iPhone or a tablet, iPad, whatever it is, you're going to be able to use it. They then go in more into talking about their password manager, which I get it. A lot of people don't actually like their own because people have noticed that some password managers on browsers don't do the best when it comes to password management properly. So they prefer secondary ones, third-party ones, I should say, like LastPass or 1Password or so on and so forth. It really depends. And so what they have is they pretty much allowed it so that their password manager is directly integrated into their Google checkup. They say that, you know, if you have any passwords compromised, so on and so forth. But they've also launched a new password import feature that allows people to easily upload up to 1,000 and only 1,000 passwords at a time from various third-party sites into our password manager for free. Features like password import, password manager, and security checkup combined with authentication products like sign in with Google reduce the spread of weak credentials. All are examples of how we're working to make your online experience safer and easier, not just on Google, but across the web. Here's the kicker. One day, we hope stolen passwords will be a thing of the past because passwords will be a thing of the past. But until then, Google will continue to keep you and your passwords safe. Now, I did mention something, and I want to... Sorry. I do want to bring it up with what essentially Microsoft is doing at the same point. So let me see if I can find that really quickly for you. Whoops, that is not it. And let's see. They do say that studies by Microsoft found that your account is more than 99.9% less likely to be compromised if you have a multi-factor authentication. So for those persons that kind of are wary about this, it actually is very beneficial, I will admit. I personally use a two-factor authenticator called Authy that allows me to take it from a bunch of different places and keep it all in one app. Some password managers do this as well, like LastPass. But it's more about finding what you personally are comfortable with. That's the main point about it. And sorry, still trying to... Anyway. I can't find it. I apparently lost that article somehow. I don't want to spend too much time just not talking about it. So yeah, folks, if you are watching this on YouTube, please let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you are listening to this via the podcast, well, feel free to head over to morecookies.com and leave a comment under the go to the actual article and leave a comment, or feel free to join the Discord and let us know your thoughts there. We can actually have a full-on conversation that talks more about it. And don't forget, folks, we have our Esports Wrap shows on Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and MOAR Tech, which is this show, is going to be back next week, Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, keep it savvy.